Hi, this is Lisha. Welcome back to Sable's Grimoire. Let's get straight to it. After sitting through my final class of the day, I head straight to my room without making any detours. Though not as troublesome as my first day at the academy, today has been just as tiring. All day I've been absorbing knowledge in class, talking to my classmates, making friends, and learning about the demi-humans around me. Combining all of that with self-study, it's no wonder I feel exhausted. I'm sure this is going to get easier as time goes on. I've just been overwhelmed by the changing environment, that's all. Once I've carved out a daily routine and come to terms with my surroundings, this will be no different than high school. While telling myself that, I lay down on my bed and close my eyes. A wave of euphoria washes over me, and I can feel the fatigue leaving my body. I've been looking forward to this. Oh, Sable, why you not got no clothes on? What? I quickly sit up as Tiggs' voice enters my ear. Less than an inch away from my face, she seems to manifest out of nowhere, almost giving me a heart attack in the process. What are you? Easy there, Sable, catch your breath. I take a few deep breaths and calm down. Afterwards I glance at Tiggs, who's sat right next to my face. Okay, are you trying to kill me? Kill you? Don't be silly. If I wanted to do that, you'd already be dead. Wow. I laugh nervously as I try to figure out whether Tiggs is joking or not. I would say probably not. She wouldn't really kill me in my sleep, would she? So, Tiggs, what are you doing here so early? Why am I in our room when it's still light outside, you mean? No particular reason, I just didn't have anywhere else to be. Classes are over, and I don't need much food when I'm in this form, so it's not like I need to be anywhere in particular. What about you? Isn't it obvious? What? Tiggs simply smiles and waits for me to explain. Okay, you're kidding me. I was laying down on my bed with my eyes closed. Obviously, I was trying to get some sleep. You were? I thought you were focusing on a spell or visualizing glyphs. I might be a fairly diligent student, but I'm not that dedicated. Besides, even the most prudent of mages need sleep, you know. They do? That hasn't been my experience. Oh, of course. Wait a second, what do you mean by that? By what? What you just said. How hasn't that been your experience? Oh, well, you know, some of the warrior class pixies go weeks without sleep at a time. My grandma too. I don't think I've ever seen her go to sleep. Tiggs, are you telling me that pixies have figured out a way to function without sleep? I mean, I guess you could put it like that. But before you get too excited, I'm pretty sure it's not going to work for a human. Oh, sorry Sable. Just like with the physical enhancement magic we use to grow to human size, it's a trick that relies on our body structure. If I told you how we do it, and you put it to practice, you'd probably die. Oh, it's too bad. I've been wanting to cut the sleep out of my life for years now, but it just isn't that easy. Cheer up, it's not like that sleep is a bad thing. And even if you did get rid of it, you'd probably go insane from boredom. Yeah, well, maybe. But don't you ever wonder what it would be like to have another 8 hours a day to do whatever you want? As things stand, we spend an entire third of our lives just sleeping. Don't you think it's a waste? Well, maybe a little bit, but even if I had more time, it's not like I'd do anything productive with it. You might not feel that way now, but that's just the fatigue talking. If you never needed to rest and never felt tired, there would be no end to what you could accomplish. Okay, I think you have to be pretty self-motivated to actually make use of that time. I'd probably just laze around for 8 hours until everybody else woke up. Wow, you're no fun. But if you appreciate sleep that much, at least let me get some rest this time. I might not like it, but I do need it. Okay, fine. Good night, Grumpy. Night. As suddenly as she appeared, Tiggs vanishes from my sight. In her miniature form, her true form rather, she doesn't make a sound as she flies, or even as she lands. In that regard, if no other, she's the perfect roommate. It's kinda harsh. Not a very sociable main character we got here. When my eyes open, I find myself enveloped by the dark of night. My roommate is asleep, as are the majority of the other students and teachers at Amadronia. For the second night in a row, I've awoken at an unnatural time. Damn, I should have realised that going to bed early would result in a repeat of yesterday. I don't really feel like going back to sleep though. I've wasted enough of my time sleeping lately. Unfortunately, staying up isn't an option either, or at least not in here, or I might disturb my somewhat scary roommate. So I guess that just leaves a midnight stroll. I creep out of my dorm room as quietly as I can. The lights in the hallway are on, so it takes a moment for my eyes to adjust, but once they do, my stride becomes confident. This shouldn't be a problem, should it? I mean, there are plenty of nocturnal demi-human species around. I don't know how many of them actually attend Amadronia, but surely there must be at least a few. As I walk through the hallways, I don't pass by a single student or teacher. The hallways are empty, as are the classrooms. The entire academy is dead silent. I seem to be the only one who's awake after all. Oh, not a soul to be seen anywhere around here. Maybe I should take this opportunity to practice my spellcasting. There's nobody around to get in my way, so as long as I don't make too much noise, this should be an ideal time to practice. Here we go. I raise my left hand in the air, with my palm facing forward. My feet are spread apart, as though I'm taking a fighting stance, and I focus all of my energy into my left palm. As my energy slowly accumulates, small orbs of light begin to cling to my arm, loosely joining together and slithering along like a snake. Those orbs steadily gain mass, and I can feel power swelling up inside my arm. What pitiful strength I still possess is about to be put to the test. Serpent of light, I offer to you the warmth of my very life itself. Grow strong off my blood, and in exchange, lend that strength to me. Guide me through this darkness, now and forevermore. In response to my words, the shining orbs begin to morph further still. Their snake-like shape solidifies, and small semi-transparent scales begin to manifest. Despite its appearance, the snake is no longer a mere collection of light. It has weight, and it can be touched by human hands. As of now, the snake wrapped around my body is real. That took longer than what it used to without this bangle around my wrist, but at least the spell itself was successful. If I can do this much in my current state, I should have no problem during practical lessons. The serpent, though originally a product of my own thoughts, now possesses temporary sentience. It can think, feel, and act without my orders or consent. The serpent can also survive without feeding off my ether, albeit for a short period of time, and if it senses something out of the ordinary, it will not hesitate to leave my side and investigate. Okay, that should be enough for now. Summoning snakes is fun and all, but maintaining this guy's physical form saps my energy like crazy. Without another mage present to feed it, I can't keep this up for very long. I lower my arms and focus my attention on the summoned creature. With the intent to dissolve its physical form, I cut off the ether I'm feeding it and concentrate on absorbing what remains of the creature itself. Sorry buddy, time's up. Now be a good summoned creature and... What? Where are you going? The moment before I can dispel it, my serpent abandons its physical form, passes straight through my body and floats through the air. It heads toward the building, travelling at a surprising speed. Even running at full speed I can't keep up. Wow, show off. I could go that fast too, if I weighed next to nothing. Cursing my own creation, I continue to chase after it. Even though I can no longer see it, I can still sense its presence, thanks to the links summoned beasts share with their summoners. Wow, that's odd. Should be right around here. Maybe? I stop in front of a large metal door. The door appears to connect to the hallway which leads to the first year classrooms. However, to the best of my recollection, there is no such exit within this particular building. In fact, thinking back on my limited time in the courtyard, I cannot recall ever seeing this door before either. That's kind of strange. I could have sworn this was just an ordinary wall the last time I looked. Am I seeing things, or is this door really here? I mean, observe, or just go through? I mean, ether's kind of our thing. Let's have a look. If this door's just an illusion, I should be able to detect the ether signature of the one creating it. I should also be able to see the ether around it passing straight by, and not passing through the door itself. My eyes slowly begin to grow more sensitive. I unconsciously discard certain visual data, replacing it with my own interpretation of the ether flowing through it. Vibrant streams appear before my eyes, lighting the way forward despite possessing no physical form. Okay, so it is a real door. What's more, quite a large amount of ether is being drawn into it. Whatever's down there is consuming a staggering amount of ether. Cautious of what may lay beyond, I walk over. Once I'm within 2 feet of the door, I reach out with my right hand. My fingertips push against the cold metal, and I can feel a strange sensation flooding into my body. It's real, but there's something odd about the door. I can't tell if it's been created through special means, or it's just usually cloaked by a concealment spell. With my curiosity piqued, I steel my resolve and press on. In we go. This looks comfy. Waiting for me on the other side of the door is a cold, dark passageway. The walls are stone and the light is dim, and I can see my breath every time I exhale. My first impression is that I've accidentally stumbled upon a dungeon beneath the academy. Why does a place like this even exist on campus? I don't remember hearing anything about a dungeon, and I'm sure I'd remember seeing something like this in a Senscape, or a map, or something. Maybe this is where misbehaving students are taken. While I don't like the idea of students being chained up inside of a dungeon, I can see how some people might find it necessary. This is an academy filled with demi-humans after all. If a powerful student went rogue, they could easily kill someone. Briefly allowing such negative thoughts to enter my mind, I continue walking along the dark passageway. I can only faintly sense the presence of my serpent. By this point, it's almost out of energy, and is soon going to disappear. Screw it, there's no point going any further. I am curious, unbearably curious, but something tells me I'm not supposed to be here. No sooner have I considered turning back, than I feel my summoned beast disappear. A moment later, I feel a shiver run down my spine, and I wrap my arms around myself for warmth. Shit, how is it so cold down here? I better warm myself up before I freeze to death. Though I'm a bit low on energy after summoning my light serpent, I still managed to cast a low intensity incendiary spell on myself. My hands become like miniature radiators, quickly warming my body as I rub myself down. Okay, that's more like it. Why does an icebox like this even exist? Cold-blooded students could easily lose their lives down here. I definitely need to research this place when I return to my room. I turn around and start to walk back toward the entrance. The moment I do so, I feel something move behind me, and the temperature of the air drops once more. Shivering uncontrollably, I turn my head just far enough to see a vague silhouette encroaching upon me. Human scum! What? Run! Get out! Running as quickly as I can, I leave the dungeon without a moment's hesitation. Curiosity be damned, I flee in a panic, still cradling myself in my arms and frightened by something I can't even describe. Between the freezing cold, the presence which seemed to manifest out of thin air, and the raspy voice of an unseen entity, I've had more than enough of exploring for one night, thank you. It's okay, Sable, it's okay. It's just a demi-human student playing pranks. Everything that happened can be explained calmly and rationally. I lay down on my bed and throw the blanket over my body, desperate to warm up. Even after running all the way to my bedroom, I still feel an unnatural chill assaulting every inch of my body. Whatever I just experienced, it wasn't simply a cold night or a chilly wind. Something strange is going on, and while I may lack the energy and bravery to investigate further tonight, I will undoubtedly dwell on this night until I uncover the truth. What was that? I don't like it. Cursed, hidden shit. Comforted by the warmth of my bed, I sleep well through the night, despite my anxiety. The allure of losing consciousness and doing nothing for several hours straight finally dawns on me, and I feel silly for wishing to rib myself of sleep so enthusiastically. Because after a good night's rest, I now feel much better, warm, secure, and free of last night's terror. Honestly, what was I thinking? Creeping into a dungeon and complaining about it being cold? What kind of idiot am I? Heck, at this point, I'm not even sure if what I saw was real or not. I might have just dreamed the whole thing up. Sure you have. Thinking that, I make my way to the cafeteria for breakfast. Unfortunately, my sound sleep has resulted in me waking up later than usual, and I've missed my chance to eat in peace. The cafeteria is packed full of students, without a free seat anywhere. Check out the dungeon, order something easy. Are we in recovery mode or are we going to go deep? Let's go deep. I turn around and walk straight back out of the cafeteria. Curiosity has won out over hunger, and despite the complaints from my stomach, this is hardly an unusual event. Let's see, where was it now? It started over here, summoning my light serpent, and then I look toward the academy buildings, trying to discern the location of the potentially fictional dungeon. Even if the possibility exists that I dreamed the whole thing up, I need to see it for myself. When my serpent got away from me, it headed in this direction. I chased after it over here, and after a while I stop in front of a familiar part of the building. After looking around for a few moments and gaining my bearings, I'm certain that I found the right place. This is definitely the spot, but there's no sign of a door, let alone a dungeon. Did I dream it after all? I walk over to the wall and run my hand down the side of the building. As far as my fingers and eyes are both concerned, this is an ordinary wall, just like any other. Maybe it was a dream after all. Even so, just to make sure, my eyes glaze over as my vision is distorted. Real, physical objects lose focus, and in their place I see matter from another plane of existence. Ether. The wall is solid. Both my hands and my eyes are telling me that it's a real physical wall, and not just an illusion. And yet, the flow of the ether in the air around me tells a different story. Senses, even touch, can be tricked by perception altering magic. One of the scary realities of being a mage is knowing that everything you see and feel could be a lie. But the natural flow of ether external to the human body, that can't be faked, not to this degree at least. And right now, ether is, without a doubt, flowing straight through that wall with a downward trajectory. The dungeon does exist after all. I place my hands on the wall once more and examine it very closely. Even with my ability to see through illusions like those which hell creates, I cannot find a single flaw in the wall in front of me. The being who created this illusion must be extremely talented. Did someone from a higher grade make it? If not, then perhaps a teacher. I close my eyes for a moment and try to bypass the illusion. Tricking the eyes and ears is easy. Faking the sense of touch, on the other hand, is a surprisingly difficult thing. By focusing on my fingertips, What in the world are you doing? Oh. Startled, I turn around and jump back, unintentionally pushing my back against the wall. Lisha? I have been called as such, yes. Now, answer my question. What are you doing to the wall? If you intend to vandalise it, I must warn you. Lisha's gaze narrows. She stares daggers at me, sending a clear and direct warning my way. No, that's not it. I was just trying to bypass the illusion. Without saying a word, Lisha walks toward me. Stopping just in front of me, so close that we could be kissing, she places her hand on the wall. Her eyes scan the wall up and down, then she runs her hand along the cold hard surface. After a few moments, she retracts her hand and takes a step back. Liar. What? There is no illusion at play here. This is an ordinary wall, there's nothing special about it. No, that's not. I know it seems that way, that's the entire point of creating an illusion to begin with. But even if you can't see or feel it, there is a door here, I'm sure. Oh, if you're that certain, then perhaps you can explain something to me. Considering that the valedictorian of your grade cannot even sense this supposed illusion, what makes you, a restrained delinquent, think that you can break through it? Lisha glances down at the bangle on my wrist as she speaks. Matching the movement of her eyes with my own, I consider Lisha's words for a moment. Sure enough, Lisha is far above me in terms of talent. Not only that, she's also far more knowledgeable and has much more experience. Logically, what she's implying should be correct. Someone stuck in the middle of our grade, restrained by a magical artifact, should not be able to accomplish something that she cannot. And yet, I don't feel that way in the slightest. I'd admit you got a point. I'm far weaker than you, and I certainly don't possess your talent. But when it comes to seeing through illusions, does it really matter? Mental strength and acuity are what it takes to break through an illusion, not magical power. In fact, Hel told me that I broke through her illusion quicker than anyone else she's ever met. Does that not include you? Don't get carried away, Sable. I will concede to your argument regarding the correlation between magic power and the dispelling of illusions. However, you do well to remember that this is not always the case. Illusions which have been sculpted carefully over a long period of time, typically by a powerful mage, are often backed by a real physical component as well. If there truly is a door concealed behind this facade of a wall, then it likely falls into that category. Having said her piece, Lisha turns around and walks away. She returns to whatever she was doing out here in the courtyard before I arrived, leaving me alone once more. An illusion strengthened by something that exists in reality. I've certainly heard the theory behind such spells, but actually putting that knowledge to practical use would be quite the feat. Was the caster of this spell a teacher after all? We don't know about this door. Hopefully we'll find out eventually. Putting aside any lingering thoughts I have pertaining to the Academy dungeon, I attend my first class of the day dutifully. The subject matter is admittedly mundane, but I try to pay attention nonetheless, and by the end of the lesson, I am one of the few students who seems to have done so. Wow, who would have thought that magic history class could be so boring? When I study sages of legend, or the history of man's understanding of magic, or even the evolution of runic typography, I find it all incredibly interesting. But somehow, when our disinterested teacher gives a half-assed lecture and tells us to do the rest ourselves, it just seems kinda pointless. Depressed by my teacher's lack of enthusiasm, my gaze unconsciously drifts toward the front of the room. Surprisingly, Eris is still there. She isn't doing anything apart from sitting on her ass and zoning out, but at least she's present physically, if not mentally. I begin to stare at Eris, while wondering to myself why she even became a teacher in the first place. Well, not you too. That vile woman has put too many students under her spell as it is. My concentration is broken as a displeased voice calls to me from the side. Don't be silly, Sable wouldn't fall for Eris's tricks. There's no way that anyone capable of breaking through my illusions would be susceptible to hers. Wow, thanks for the vote of confidence, Hel. And no, I'm not under her spell. Quite the opposite, actually. Oh, then you're getting fed up with her teaching style? Not that I would even call it that. Yeah, you said it. But what really vexes me isn't her attitude. It's that there's nothing we can do to make her take our classes seriously. I mean, it's not like I can make her teach us. I mean, you could try her. Just do what Eros always does, but instead of making her fall for you, manipulate her into just doing her job. I can't even begin to tell you all of the things wrong with that plan. Without giving too much thought to Hell's suggestion, my gaze once again rests on Eris. She's now toying with her terminal, killing the remaining few minutes before our first break of the day comes to an end. If I really am going to try something before our next lesson begins, I need to do it now. I mean, do we really want to mess with her? She is quite fun. Okay, let's say hello. You know what? Let's give it a shot. It's not like I've got anything to lose, even though we're already known as being a bit of a troublemaker. Oh well, let's see if I can convince Eris to start taking our lessons a little bit more seriously. This is not going to work out. Without any real plan in mind, I leave the sides of my classmates and head to the front of the room. Still eyeing her terminal, Eris pays me no mind. Even as I walk right up to her, she still doesn't acknowledge my presence. It seems I'll need to make first contact after all. Excuse me? No, not even a glance. Teacher. Eris. Eros? At last, my words solicit a reaction. Even first-year students are calling me that now. Honestly, what did I ever do to deserve such a horrible nickname? I don't know about your nickname, but if you're wondering about how to endear yourself to the students a little bit more, I'm not interested. Before I can even suggest that Eris should take her job more seriously, she shuts me down. Oh come on, you're the teacher for crying out loud. At least listen to what your student has to say. Why should I? It's not like you'd have anything interesting to tell me. It's your job as a student to listen to your teacher, not the other way around. So why don't you be a good little boy and leave your busy teacher alone, right? Busy teacher? You're playing with terminal. I'm planning lessons. You're reading about elven history. And if I have to teach this subject in the future, I'll be ready. I sigh in frustration as the immovable object known as my teacher stubbornly refuses to budge in the slightest. While I'm glad that she's at least using this time to learn something pertinent to the job, it's clear that she didn't start researching the topic for such a noble reason. Fine, don't teach us. I feel sorry for the other students, but I'm sure I'm going to be fine without your tutelage. Okay, whatever you say, kiddo. Now scram, I've already wasted enough time listening to your whining. At my teacher's prompt, I leave her side and return to my desk. The moment I do, my classmates approach me once more, curious about my conversation with Eris. So, how did it go? About as well as expected. Eris barely even acknowledged my existence. There's no way she was going to take my concerns seriously. That's because you neglected the proper process. Next time, sweep our teacher off her feet, hold her close, and gently whisper your troubles into her ear. If you do that, she'll have no choice but to heed your words. Yeah, right before giving me a suspension. I'm just going to leave her alone. Maybe she's just in a bad mood this week, and next week she'll become the spitting image of my ideal teacher. Yeah, I'm not going to count on that. Time might be a great healer of wounds, but that's no cure for apathy. Taking Lisha's warning to heart, I sigh in resignation as I sit down once more, moments before our break comes to its natural conclusion. Whether my words had any impact on Eris or not is yet to be seen. All I can do right now is pay attention, listen to what my teacher says, and hope for the best. Okay, we've got to hit the books and keep learning. With my first and second classes of the day now behind me, I make my way out into the courtyard. Despite resolving myself to leave the matter alone mere hours ago, my curiosity is eating away at me, and I can't hold myself back any longer. Even if what Lisha said earlier was true about the illusion being too strong for me to break, it doesn't mean I'm not interested anymore. What's the meaning behind that dungeon? Who's responsible for hiding it, and why is it so cold? Until I can answer these questions, there's no way I'm going to be satisfied. While the courtyard is empty, and everybody else is too busy eating in the cafeteria to notice me, I traverse the courtyard and head over to the concealed dungeon, even though we can see the door again. Upon arriving in front of the dungeon, however, I am greeted by an unexpected sight. It's visible. No way, did somebody else break the illusion before I did? Or did the person concealing the dungeon come back? I keep my distance and monitor the dungeon's entrance while remaining out of sight. After a few minutes, I see two figures shuffling around near the entrance. I can't see them well enough to discern their identities. All I can be certain of is that they're wearing our uniform. Let's sneak. Careful not to be seen, I slowly move closer to the two students. I used the architecture of the academy buildings to hide myself as much as possible, but given the open area around me, my efforts result in minimal gains. I'm only able to get a few meters closer before I'm forced to choose between abandoning my cover or staying put. No choice. I'm just gonna head over after all. Hopefully those two will at least... Oh! The moment I come out into the open, the dungeon's entrance disappears right in front of my eyes. One of the students has also disappeared, and my chance to further investigate the dungeon has come to pass. Shit, this is what I get for hesitating. Fate hands me an opportunity, and I let it slip by. Before I can get too mad at myself, further movement in the distance catches my eye. Even though the dungeon and one of the students has vanished, the other student is still in the courtyard. Okay, we're not done. I can make it work. Still keeping my distance, I follow the vague figure discreetly. We enter the nearest academy building and then walk from hallway to hallway, encountering only a handful of students as we do. The dearth of students makes it difficult to get closer without being noticed, but it also helps me to keep an eye on my target and not lose them even once. I follow the figure through several buildings before their pace finally begins to slow down. By the time that our short journey has come to an end, I'm standing in front of a facility which I have no qualms about entering. The Academy Library. It's odd, class is going to start soon, and yet they're visiting the library instead of walking to the class? They were definitely wearing a uniform, so I assumed they were a student, but maybe. I enter the library, closing the door behind me. As I look around the large empty room, I soon realise that there are no other students present. Despite the fact that I followed someone into this very room only moments ago, I'm now alone. Did they conceal their presence with magic, or cast some kind of illusion on me? If this is the person responsible for hiding the dungeon, then such a thing should definitely be within their capabilities. In which case, I blink a few times as slight pain assaults my eyes. My vision quickly abandons the physical world and begins to focus on that which should not be seen. Ley lines, the flows of ether, the lingering residue of spells that have been cast, all of these things and more become clear for me to see. I look around the room one more time, now looking for any disruptions to the natural flow of the air around me. Moments later, I found an anomaly. Gotcha. I walk over to the anomaly, a concealed presence hidden off to the side of the room. Once I'm within arm's reach of the invisible being, I place my hand on their shoulder. Hey. Oh, it's Joru. Who are you? What do you want? Please don't hurt me. The moment I touch her, Joru's concealment spell is broken. She pulls back, desperately trying to create distance between us, and shrieks in surprise. If I didn't know any better, I'd think that Joru was honestly afraid of me. Wow, calm down, it's just me, Sable. Sable? Yeah, you remember me, the first year human, who likes books, you know. Or the knowledge contained within them, at least. Joru stares at me in disbelief for a moment, and then breathes a sigh of relief. Oh man, thank goodness. You scared the living daylights out of me. Oh, sorry about that. But shouldn't I be the one saying that? You're the one who's concealing her presence. Yeah, well, I felt like someone was following me, so I just... Joru fidgets and loosely wraps her arms around her body. Even knowing who she's speaking to, she still appears to be quite nervous. So even a mighty third-year student gets nervous when they think they're being followed. Being a third year has nothing to do with it, doesn't it? I've heard that not many students make it to their third year at this academy. Shouldn't that make those of you who remain quite formidable? No, it's not like that at all. Most students leave because they can't keep up with the curriculum, or they miss their homeland. My grades are a bit higher than average, but I don't really have anywhere to return to, so it's not like I'm still here because I'm strong. Oh, is that how it is? At Joru's prompt, I recall a few rumours I've heard regarding Amadronia Academy. Although students who continue past their second year are generally revered as being elite magi, some say that those who remain are simply more brutal than the others. Given the requirement for students in their third year or higher to partake in the hunt, there are a fair few students who quit solely because they want to avoid that particular activity. They would prefer to return to their family and friends awaiting them in their homeland, rather than spend their days hunting down their own kind. So, Sable, I know this might sound like a strange question, but were you following me, or was I just being paranoid? Rather than ask me why I was following her, Joru gives me the benefit of the doubt and offers me the opportunity to escape persecution. But as kind as her gesture may seem, I know that I can't play off our meeting as a coincidence, not if I want to inquire about the academy dungeon. Yes, so I was following. Sorry. Oh, I'm not going crazy after all. So, why? Tell me the truth, I promise I'm not going to get mad. Relieved to see Joru respond in such a positive manner, I continue without hesitation. To be honest, I didn't realise it was you at first. I was just following a suspicious person to see where they wound up. Suspicious? I'm suspicious. Why would you think that? Until this morning I didn't, but then I saw you at the entrance of the hidden dungeon. You saw it, did you? Wow, this is why I told Hira that meeting during the day was a bad idea. Hira? Is she that other person I saw there? She is, but please stop calling it a dungeon. You're making it sound far too ominous. What you saw was the entrance of Amadronia's underground facilities. Underground? Jolo nods in confirmation. Yeah, that's right. Most first-year students wouldn't know about them yet, since you've only just started attending, but you'll all learn of their significance sooner or later. Wow, underground facilities. Is that for students who can't stand the sunlight? Among others, yes. Students who are nocturnal or weak against either light or heat study in the underground facilities. Oh, I was wondering about that. I just figured that students with those kinds of needs didn't attend Amadronia. For a long time they didn't. It was quite difficult to accommodate them after all. But now that everything's in place, Amadronia is among the top picks for demi-humans with such needs. I nod in understanding as Jolo enlightens me about the dungeon, or rather, Amadronia's underground facilities. To think that Amadronia hides such an interesting secret. I researched Amadronia thoroughly before coming here, and I experienced many senscapes, but I never heard a peep about any underground facilities. It's unusual, but it is interesting. Students who are nocturnal or can't stand the sun's rays. Do you fit into either of those categories then, Jolo? Oh, me? I told you, I was just meeting a friend at the entrance. But most spiders are nocturnal, aren't they? So I thought maybe. Demi-humans are not animals? I jump back as Jolo's sudden shout takes me by surprise. Despite her usual calm, timid demeanour, for a moment there, she seemed genuinely angry. Oh, no, I mean, we're still mostly the same as humans, you know? And I know that some of us have traits or limbs resembling other creatures, but that doesn't mean, you know... Oh, it's fine, I get it. I apologise for what I said. Demi-humans definitely aren't animals. Sorry. Why are you apologising? Rather than dwell on Jolo's minor outburst, I quickly changed the subject. So, you said you're meeting with a friend at the entrance? Yeah. Hira is a second-year friend of mine. She can't stand the heat, so she usually only comes out at night. I told her that it was dangerous to come out during the day, but that girl just doesn't listen at all. Doesn't she understand that I'm just worried about her? Oh, you're starting to sound more like that girl's older sister than her friend. So, this Hira person. Before I can finish the sentence, a familiar sound reverberates throughout the academy. As indicated by the usual bell, our break is over, and now it's time to return to class. Ah man, just when I discovered something interesting. Don't be discouraged. It's not that this conversation needs to be concluded right this second. If you want to continue where we left off, come and visit me any time. Okay, so we found out, hopefully, the mystery of the dungeon. But I think that will do for this episode. This is Usho signing off, and hopefully I'll see you next time.